In this calculator tutorial video, I would like to show you how to find a line of best fit, or a linear regression, it's sometimes known as. For this particular example, I have a table of data which gives me the women's 100-meter winning time for each of the Summer Olympics between 1968 and 1996. So what I'm going to do is, as my x variable, which is my independent variable, I'm going to let the year represent that independent variable, and then I'm going to let the winning time in seconds represent the dependent variable, or the y variable. So two things I want to accomplish here. First of all, I want to plot this data on my calculator, and then I want to find a line of best fit and graph that line with my data. So first of all, just to plot the data on my graphing calculator, I'm going to hit the Stat button, and under the Edit menu, I'm going to choose the Edit option number 1. Just hit enter there, and I'm going to see basically a bunch of columns where I can enter list of data. So under L1, I'm going to enter all the x values, my independent variable, and under L2 I'm going to do the y values. The way the calculator likes to do this is when I type a number and hit enter, it wants the next number in that list. So instead of entering an x with a corresponding y in L1 and L2, I'm just going to enter all the x's first with enters in between them. So I'll do 1972 and hit enter in between, and then 1976, so on and so forth, hitting enter between each of these numbers. And one thing I just want to be kind of careful of is to make sure I don't make a mistake entering these numbers. Obviously, if I make a mistake here, all the rest of my answers that I'm going to find will be wrong based on my incorrect number. I just want to be extra careful. Make sure I enter each of these numbers correctly. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and hit my right arrow and jump over to the next column, L2, and I'm going to enter all of the times. I got 22.5 seconds, 22.4 seconds, so on and so forth. 22.37. And again, I just want to be extra careful to make sure I don't make any mistakes entering these numbers. Sometimes I forget to hit the decimal. Sometimes I punch the wrong number. So I just want to be extra careful here and make sure that I have all the correct numbers. Okay, almost done. Bear with me here. One last number. And there's my set of data. And I'm just going to double check. 22.12, 21.72, 21.34, 21.81, 22.03, 22.37, 22.4, 22.5. Okay, so I have all the right y numbers with all the x's. Now that I've entered my data into two lists, what I'm going to do is tell the calculator to plot these points. So above the y equals key is the stat plot. So I'm going to do second y equals and go to the stat plot. And you'll notice I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 different stat plots. Oh, I got 5 of them. And for some reason number 5 is turned on. Let me hit enter there. Oh, it's actually not at all what it's doing. Okay. All right, anyway, ignore what I just did. There are 4 stat plots that we can turn on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hit number 1, and I'm going to turn the stat plot on. Now notice right now the off is darkened. My cursor is blinking over the word on. So I'm going to hit enter and highlight the word on. The next choice is what type of graph would I like. The first option is to just plot the points. The second option is really to connect the dots. The third is a bar graph, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to just go ahead and use the option of to just plot points, and then move down to the next choice. So now I need to tell it where's the x and where's the y. So remember, we had done the x's in the L1 list, we had done the y's in the L2 list. Let's suppose I put the x's in L3. What I could do is I could do second number 3, and that would give me L3. You'll notice in blue, above the number 3 is L3, above the number 2 in blue is L2, so on and so forth. Now obviously my X list was L1, so let me go back here and do second 1 and type L1. And then the Y list is L2. Of course it's already there, but I'll go ahead and do second 2 and put L2 there and hit enter. Now this is what kind of mark do I want the point to look like. So I'm going to have the points be squares, pluses, or just a little dot. I'm just going to leave it on squares. Okay. So now when I hit the graph key, it's going to plot this stat plot that I turned on with all the information that I just gave it. Now obviously I'm not going to see the data points that I'm plotting because my x-min is -10, my x-max is +10. And over here my x's are 1,968 to 1,996. Same thing with my y's. My y-min is -10, my y-max is +10. And over here I have a y-min, looks like about 21 something, and a y-max that's about 22 something. So let me go into my window. And my x-min, I guess I'll let be, let's say 1960, just to give myself a little bit of breathing room over there. And my y-max is 1996. Let's make it 2000, again, just to go a little bit outside my values of x there. And then my y-min, so I think I'll make my y-min be 20. And then my y-max be 25, and that should be a good viewing window there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so there's our viewing window. Now what we want to do here is try and fit a line to this data. So I want to try and fit a line that goes through this data and hits as many of the points as possible. So the way that I'm going to do that now is I'm going to hit the quit button. I'm going to do second mode, and I'm going to quit to my home screen. From my home screen, I'm going to go back to the stat button, but instead of staying under the edit option here, I'm going to arrow over one time to the right and choose the calc menu, and I'm going to choose number 4, linear regression. Choosing number 4 from my home screen brings the linear regression back to my home screen. What I want to do is tell the calculator what are the x's, what are the y's. Even though for the plot I already specified that, for the linear regression feature I have not specified that. So right next to the lin reg, I'm going to do second 1, say there's my x's, comma, second 2, and say there's my y's. Now when I hit enter, there's my line of best fit. So what I want to point out to you is that it's telling me basically y equals ax plus b, where a is going to be the slope. There's my slope, and then b is my y-intercept. Now what I could do on pencil and paper is, maybe round these numbers to 3 decimal places. Let's say down here I'm going to put y equals -0.28x plus 77.308. So if I've rounded to 3 decimal places, there's my equation of my line. So now what I could do is hit the y equals screen and graph that line. So let's do -0.028x plus 77.308. And when I graph, I'm going to see my line of best fit come through my data. Now one other thing I want to show you real quick is instead of rounding each of those numbers to 3 decimal places, what I could have done, let me turn this off and go to Y2. What I could have done is had the calculator put the exact equation in there. And here's how I will do that. Under the vars key, what I'm going to do is go down to number 5, which is statistics. I'm going to choose statistics, and then I'm going to arrow over twice to the equation menu, and the very first option is my regression equation. I'm going to hit enter. And look how it put that entire equation in there. So instead of rounding to 3 decimal places, it used all of the decimal accuracy that it had given me originally on the home screen. So now when I graph, the line fits a little bit better because I didn't round and approximate those numbers. Okay, I wanted to add one more note here. Some of the homework questions when you're doing a linear regression ask you to provide the correlation coefficient. First of all, you might be asking, what is the correlation coefficient? And that's a very good question, but it's not relevant to what we're doing in a college algebra course. That's really a question that you should learn about in a statistics course or maybe a numerical analysis course. Feel free to go on Google and do a search for correlation coefficient and read some more about it. But since the homework questions ask you for that value, I want to show you how to be able to find that value. So, real quick, from the home screen, if I hit Stat and I go to Calc and I choose Linear Regression, just like I've already shown you, provide the X list and comma the Y list, it'll give me this information. Here's the line that best fits the data I have in my List 1 and List 2. Now notice the only information it's really giving me is the slope of the line, represented by A, and the y-intercept. But for the correlation coefficient, what I need to do is turn on the diagnostics. Here's how I do that. I need to go into the catalog. You'll notice above the number 0 in blue is catalog. So I hit second 0 and go to catalog. And I want to go to diagnostics. So you'll notice that the alpha lock has been turned on automatically for me. So no need to press the green alpha lock key. I'm going to go ahead and jump to where letter D is and then scroll down to diagnostics. So you're going to notice there's diagnostic off, diagnostic on. I want the diagnostics to be on, so I'm going to hit enter. It's going to bring me back to the home screen. I'm going to hit enter a second time and it's going to say done. Now you'll notice when I go back to Stat, Calc, choose Linear Regression, it's going to give me some extra information, and this is the correlation coefficient.